Hi, my name is Casey Hyman.
And I'm Allie Marsh. We're here for the last segment of our book summary of Changing Habits. I'm going to start by talking about forming habits. The best quote that kind of sums this up is, a movement starts basically because of the social habits and friendships and the strong ties between close acquaintances. It also talks about weak ties helping form these habits as well. If you have a weak tie, you don't want to give yourself a bad name, so you're going to support that person. Rosa Parks was a catalyst for the civil rights movement, basically because she was so involved in her society, her neighborhood organizations. She actually got hooked up with her lawyer because she had hemmed the dresses of his 3 daughters. And he was a white lawyer, so it's kind of a big deal that he was representing Rosa Parks as a black woman. So everybody felt obligated to support her because she was such a great role model within her community. She had such strong ties and weak ties that people supported her, whereas there had been people in the past that had done the same thing on the bus. They wouldn't move and they were arrested or killed. But because of her standing in the community, she had a lot of support for that. And that kind of is one of the biggest tasks within changing or forming a habit, is that you have strong ties and weak ties. Another component of the 3 things that it kind of takes to fulfill a movement, the other one is that the weak ties, as I explained, hold a community together and allow these movements to go forward because they don't want to look bad. Basically, I think I'm going to support this person so I look good, and then the movement actually takes steps forward. The leaders of a movement give the people of a community a fresh sense of identity. So Rosa Parks was kind of their leader. She was a very great person within the community, so they felt enabled to follow this movement. So those are kind of the 3 parts to fulfill a movement, to make it to be self-propelling, moving forward on its own. My example of changing a habit with a community, I kind of went with farmers markets. I know there's a hospital in the area that does kind of a truck, and it moves from community to community. I feel like this could be expanded upon. So the cue is, we have poor health, people are eating lots of processed foods, they think that these foods are unavailable, or, and they're poorly advertised. These farmers markets aren't available everywhere. So the routine would be for, like, local hospitals or even other businesses, anybody, and maybe even get, like, a local celebrity, like a baseball player or football player or something, to support this and advertise this so that people would feel compelled to follow this movement and change this habit. So maybe have trucks that go from community to community, allowing people to purchase fresher foods. Reward would be a healthier community and better habits for a full community.
I'm going to talk about habit changes. So 40% of our actions aren't actually decisions, but they're habits. So that means for us to change a habit, we have to go back to the cue, routine, and reward. Keystone habits start a process that over time will change everything, which is great for communities. Small wins are a very important part of this. They're how keystone habits create widespread changes. So they're the beginning. Within a community, once one small win is accomplished, then it forms the footwork for another win. Once there's a several small wins, then that's when people start to support the transformation because they can see that there's a win, and that convinces people that there's a bigger achievement that needs to be reached. Within communities, keystone habits encourage change by creating structures that help other habits to flourish. So that just means that if we see these small little changes, then they're what builds upon us trying to make a large change. So really just focusing on the small wins. That can be as small as getting a trash can set out for recycling only. So just small wins that help build upon a larger goal. Movements do not emerge because everyone suddenly decides, hey, we want to do this change. They rely on social patterns that begin to form a habit. They grow through the habit of the communities, and at that point are sustained as a new habit or a changed habit. So essentially, in order to get a community to change a habit, you have to remember the cue, the routine, and the reward, and then start with small wins and work on those small wins to help encourage people for a larger view. My example is I live in a rural area and we don't have any recycling available. Like there's no one that comes to pick it up. So we have a real need for a recycling service. So my small win would be to maybe have a community trash can or area that's designated for the recycling. And then once we all establish that's where it's at, then maybe one person can take that to the recycling, or we can get our trash service to pick it up if it's from one area. So again, it would be focusing on a small win, getting the one trash can or one area. Once we see that works and we get that established, then everybody kind of gets on board, and then we can work with our recycling and get rid of all the trash and work on a healthier environment. So that is how you work on habit changes in a community.